Hey, so I said I'd be back when I had something, and boy, do I have something. I have discovered Omniology, a new science. That's what I'm naming it. Not like a new subscience, like an entirely new field of science. Available under the name of Logica Omnium on osf.io if you want to check it out. It connects all complex systems together. It is not currently peer reviewed, but guess what? Because it touches everything, you are now a peer reviewer. So, think I'm full of it? Go test it out, challenge it. Next video, I will show how to use AI to apply it just using AI the lazy way. So, see you then. Hey, I said I'd be back when I had something, and I got something big. What you're looking at right now is Logica Omnium, the founding document of Omniology. Science that connects everything together. I'm just going to scroll through this while we talk about it real quick. Um, yeah, in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use it, what it means, and really just be stressed on camera the whole time because I hate being on camera. But it's totally worth it. This work is available to anybody. I'll show you the website in just a minute. Here we go. If you go into osf.io, ooh, it's bright. Head over to search and just type in Logica Omnium. Boom, first one pops up right here. Sometimes it takes a second to load, but once it's in, you can download the file for yourself. And this is a complete file, like 140 pages of in-depth scientific stuff breaking down how all the different sciences and humanity are all connected. So, bear with me, and we will break it down. Here we go. The fourth edition right here is the one that you would want to download if you're doing that. And yeah, so we're going to pop over to Claude now. This is the one I suggest using. You don't have to, but it's the one I've had the best luck with that doesn't go kind of crazy. So here I'm asking it, telling it I'm making a YouTube video, giving it Logica Omnium 4th Edition, and mentioning that I'm making a YouTube video and showing how to use this. So, let's hit go. Claude has a much easier time breaking stuff down. I don't communicate very well. I can think very well, but my communication breaks down. My thoughts are too big for the world. That sounds boisterous, but really it just means that it's really hard to talk to people. So, like, this whole YouTube thing has been a challenge for me, and thank you for bearing with me. And this stuff is all free, so after you've seen this, you can go make your own videos where they're doing better or whatever you want to do. But for now, you got to settle for me. So, Logica Omnia, logic of all things. It's a diagnostic framework made by me, Willow Wilde. The core idea is that there's a gap between a system's claim to be and what it actually is. This gap I call gamma, the coherence gap. The framework is about measuring that gap, tracking where it's going, and knowing when it's going to cause a collapse. There's three major building blocks. C1, interactional coherence. The foundation. This is people interacting with one another and just having general human-to-human contact. Crystallization, C2. The structure. This is how those contacts slowly add up over time and become a structure or a culture and behaviors that all of you repeat. And then C3, adaptive capacity, the output. When it's all healthy and both of the two lower systems are functioning well, the system or group can adapt to whatever it needs to survive and continue being itself. Key symbols we have here is gamma over time. Also, the change in gamma over the change in time. not just the kind of trajectory. The change squared of the gap divided by the change over time squared is the gap accelerating, the cascade warning, which is kind of like, it shows when everything is kind of starting to crash. And then sigma. And then that really just measures whether the system is better or worse under stress. I think it's referred to as anti-fragility. How you'd use it, look at institutions, ask what that match, what they do, what? Oh, look at institutions, ask what does that say that they would do. Track over time, is a gap growing or shrinking? Check stress responses and diagnose before collapse, making it a predictive framework that can diagnose any social structure before collapse and allow you to start fixing it. Something that the world doesn't currently have. So, now we're going to take a look at things that it can assess. So let's use it to assess the Roman Empire. This is going to take a second. Okay, here we are with an assessment of the Holy Roman Empire, or really just the Roman Empire. You can see it's kind of just created a layout for this. I didn't ask it to do any of this, it just did it automatically using the equations and stuff in Logica Omnium. So here you can see the gamma health tracker, and as we click through you can see how it changes over the time period. And even down here it'll go into detail as to what is changing. The major change was the Augustus period, where instead of trying to heal the gap, he decided to freeze it in place and just control stuff, and that collapsed rather rapidly. Well, 2 to 300 years rapidly, but still, grand scheme of things, rapidly. This can be used for way more than just old ancient republics, though. One of my favorite uses is for predicting the ending of books. Let's do... Let's see if we can use the equations to predict the ending of a Sherlock Holmes novel. At this point, I'm just kind of like letting the AI run with this. All these equations are equations that each individual is going to have to learn to understand and use throughout their whole life in order to create an effective second-tier system that will allow us to develop into a much stronger society overall. Healthier one anyway. Okay, we're back. It shows the Valley of Fear, which is apparently really hard. I haven't really read it, so this is all just blind for me. It only read up to part 2, the American backstory in the Vermissa Valley, and then ran the Diagnostic. It identified the criminal network. Performance is load-bearing. So the criminal network is a gamma adaptive network. However, their stress response is violence. You can read through all this stuff in your own time if you want to. I'm just kind of giving everybody a quick rundown of just how universal this actually is and how to apply it with AI on this one. But the overall thing was Douglas cannot survive. The framework demands it structurally. 3 systems, 1 structural outcome. Douglas is a high gamma identity with no institutional backing, hiding from a network purpose-built to exploit gamma gaps. Holmes can solve the local crime, but Holmes is not an institution. He cannot provide ongoing structural protection. Moriarty's network operates on a longer temporal horizon than any single investigation the framework predicts. The Burlstone mystery resolves. Douglas is identified, the crime explained. Douglas appears to escape, briefly. The local system, police, court is satisfied. Moriarty's network reaches him anyway. The gap Douglas hides inside closes, not through revelation, but through elimination. Holmes knows, but cannot prove it. The most genuine C1 perception of the novel is impotent against a system with no accountability. Let's see how accurate it was. Almost exactly right. He solves the Burlstone mystery, exposes Douglas as Bertie Edwards, and Douglas is acquainted. He and his wife plan to flee to America. Then, in the final paragraph, Holmes receives word that Douglas has died at sea. No explanation, no evidence. Holmes simply says Moriarty. The framework predicted the structural logic perfectly. Local resolution, apparent escape, long arm elimination. Holmes perceives it cannot act. The novel ends with Holmes powerless, not because he failed to reason, but because genuine C1 perception without institutional backing cannot stop a high gamma system with unlimited temporal reach. So, basically, he figured it out, but the system was broken. Okay. What should we do next? Something way further offbeat. To the nation and a book. Okay, so we're going to do Da Vinci. It's a weird one I haven't done yet, but it should have some interesting results. I'll get back to you when it's done loading. Okay, so this one kind of came up pretty interesting. It basically breaks down that Da Vinci used gamma directly as a way of preventing himself from ever reaching a cascade, which means all of the times that he left the city, all of the times that he fled and didn't finish his commissions wasn't him being a flake, it was him being genuine. Here we have a breakdown of all his different patrons over time, the gaps that they expected him to perform all the way up to Francis the First, which didn't anymore, and that was when he was able to do a lot of his most effective work, was when he was not pushed to it. It also gives a breakdown of why he never finished his notebooks, and essentially he never had a C2 crystallized format. He would have needed people to peer review, work with, and stuff like that. His incompleteness is actually each one a value reset in and of itself. The real tragedy is that there was no C2 that could crystallize his C1 form. And what that really means is he would work too fast and move on too many different levels so that there wasn't a shared language that he could communicate all of it to anybody through. There wasn't anybody who could keep up with him. Borgia was apparently the worst, and Francis was the best patron. And, it's a very interesting breakdown, because it shows his breakdowns as being the structure that he used to maintain not breaking down entirely. We're gonna do Tesla next, just because that popped up here. Where did it pop up? Oh, here we go. Compare to Tesla. So, I think this is going to be our last review for this video. I have several more planned. We'll be going over different topics and different things, from music and artists to artist and art, and just all kinds of stuff that wouldn't make sense for any other framework or science to touch. But luckily, Omniology can cover all of it, and is part of all of it. So, I've glanced over this myself. You're welcome to look at it if you like. Essentially, the major differences between Da Vinci and Tesla. They were both visionary, both capable of doing things that nobody else could ascertain quite at the time. However, Tesla was not quite far enough out. And because of that, his patrons could tell what he was working on and could see the value in it. And many of them that funded it would then pull out. And this created an actual vacuum that ended up collapsing Tesla, where Tesla was capable of seeing the gap in health and performed. He would backed out once from Edison, but then failed to continue doing it when the gamma just started getting too high. Meanwhile, Da Vinci maintained that approach his whole life. And part of the reason why Da Vinci was so successful was nobody understood him at all, and so they couldn't take advantage of him. Meanwhile, Tesla was taken advantage of by everybody around him. So, I think we're going to leave it there, and we'll get back to it later. Excited to keep breaking this down with you guys. Check it out. If you want to support me, check out the link in the description. I just put out a sci-fi fantasy novel alongside all of this work. I worked on both of them simultaneously, and so you'll find a lot of overlapping concepts in the both. It should be ready for pre-order soon.